Good evening, everyone. How the hell are you? Welcome to another edition of Tuesday Night Q&A with the lovely, ever gracious, ever kind, ever sweet, ever charming, ever beautiful
He's
E-Train
lying. He's
and her
lying.
mutts, her highly irritating mutts, Chuck and Taloo, who currently are chewing on on treats. We'll see how long that lasts. But we're glad to be with you. Say hey, Ellen.
Hi. No, I was. Hey, Sky Ricky, and hey, Melissa. I was laughing um, because before we ever Clay hits that live button, he goes three, two. I'm like, dude, just push the button. This is. It's kind of funny. It's cute, endearing.
Trying to let her know.
Mm-hmm.
So hope everyone has had a good beginning to the week. It's starting to warm up here. It was down in the teens or 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and we're expecting to hit 70, 75 in a couple days.
Really
Welcome to beach weather. But not
true.
complaining. I'll welcome some 75.
True.
And forgive me my manners. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Sky Ricky. Good to see y'all. Appreciate y'all
Always.
joining us tonight and appreciate your comments. We know we have some people kind of sneaking in the background, lurking in the background or whatever, but
We always have the
keep in mind,
lurkers.
yeah, keep in mind, this is, in a lot of ways, your time, opportunity for you to ask questions or talk about whatever you want to talk about. So, kind of an open forum. Don't have a whole lot scheduled, and this is y'all's time. Did
Hang
want to
on. I got.
mention, you're right there.
Yeah, my light is it's just so brightly I can barely see, and I can't figure out which one's which here. I think it's that one. No, that's
Whoops.
that one. Sorry. Y'all go ahead. Talk amongst yourselves.
No,
There's
I screwed up here. I'm trying to get to the channel, the well-known community page,
mm-hmm.
and see if I can throw it up on the screen. Because we have a poll for you.
A poll, a poll, a poll, a poll.
We talked about how we would list a poll for next month's book club. So look and behold, we already have some votes there. Fahrenheit 451 jumping out to a
We,
quick lead.
we have one vote. Yes. Yes, we would love for you guys to participate in book club. It's fun. You don't have to show your face, but we can all talk to each other on Zoom and express your opinions, and all the opinions are valued and loved and welcomed. And we just like to hear from you guys. And you know, what are you interested in? This is kind of a way for us to just commune together, and it's not a YouTube thing. Uh-oh. Hang on. Who's
Melissa,
Skywalker? Bunny?
please send some healing vibes to Skywalker. His health issues kicked up and we go back to the vet.
Is Skywalker
Skywalker
a
is Melissa's bunny.
Oh,
So,
Skywalker.
yeah,
All the
let's just
prayers.
hope it ends up being nothing serious, obviously. But um, never had bunnies, but I can see how they are easy to get attached to.
Oh, I did.
Big, big, soft, fuzzy, furry kind of things.
My
Um,
kids each had one, and they would just hop around the house,
yeah, I remember,
do their thing.
Emma having one in her room. Is he still
Mhm.
alive, or
Mhm. Oh Lord,
how
yes.
long did it? Huh? Figured he might have passed on across the Rainbow Bridge.
Oh no.
But do hope all is well with Skywalker. Please keep us updated because uh, it's easy, very easy to get attached to animals. Speaking of animals, this is a pic of two of my honor students and the rest of class. So two big, this is a big black lab.
He is a big boy.
Yeah, easily 100 pounds. And then the female was more normal size, but two really sweet pups made an appearance in class today. So we all got to play with them. But
so you had a good class day with the puppies.
Yeah, reminded me of years and years ago. Had a new mom call me, and kind of frantic. She couldn't make it to class. She had a babysitter or whatever who called her at the last minute and couldn't come. So I just told her to bring the baby.
There you go.
And I held the baby while she took notes. Gave the lecture with the baby on my hip, walking around.
Oh, that's sweet.
So
Ricky's got a comment.
No females in class. Yeah, this actually is a blockchain class. Most of my classes are generally quantitative and higher level in finance. Don't get a whole lot of females taking that for electives. We are seeing more females in finance.
Oh, he's had plenty of females in finance because they usually send me a message and go, "Oh my God, he's killing me." But our relationships with a couple of the girls that have been in his class.
Actually, there is one in this class. She is not in the picture, but there is one in the class. I remember I did have one class. We're not far from Camp Lejeune, and we'll teach classes up there. And one year, the guy who normally does it couldn't do it, so I did it for him. And I was surprised. Walked into class. There's 8 students, not a big class, but they were all females. Every one of them was a female because, their husbands would be deployed or, otherwise occupied. So a lot of them were, taking classes to, stay busy, finish their degrees, whatever. So that was interesting. Had 100% females in the class.
That's different for you. For
yeah,
sure.
that was a vastly different class. But normally I teach derivatives or blockchain, and those aren't hot electives.
Yeah, and two, with your CFA class, you try to get females on your CFA team, and you'll get a few, and they drop off, and you're like, because you kind of need that presence.
Yeah, CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst. That's a professional designation in finance. If you want to go into investment management, portfolio management, that kind of thing, you need it. And it's a relatively difficult certification to obtain. It's about a 2 or 3 year program, and it has 3 tests. And we recommend for people considering it that the study time for each test is 300 to 400 hours. So it's a fairly rigorous, demanding program. And there's a competition between the different schools in the state. We'll be given a company. Everybody's given the same company, and we actually do a analysis of it. Competitors, the markets they're in, their different lines of business. We look at their executive management. We look at their board of directors. We look at foreign competition, and so it's an exhaustive process, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work crammed into a few weeks, basically, into a month and a half. So Yeah, we have tried to recruit, you know, a diverse group because the industry, has valued such. But it's gotten tougher to get people to commit to it and to stick with it. A lot of them will kind of want to do it, but with some of the work we give them over the summer and fall, they kind of fall behind. Then they feel like once the tempo picks up, they've fallen too far behind. They can't catch up. They can't contribute as much as they want. Some of them have conflicts uh, with their jobs. Some of them have to work. I had one girl drop out because she decided to change her major. She just decided that finance wasn't for her and decided to switch to marketing. And that happens. So there's, can be any number of reasons, any number of individual reasons. But it still largely is particularly on the quantitative side of finance, it's still particularly a male dominated world. Melissa, those pups are cute. And they were sweet. They really were. They were rubbing all over me, trying to get as much smell of our pups as they could. So
Yeah, I told
but
Clay,
it
I was like,
was
why can't I bring Chunk and Toulouse? He's like, you can. I was like, what? He's like, you never asked. I was like, well, I just didn't think it was allowed. He's like, bring them. I was like, okay.
yeah, absolute. I told everyone if they have a dog want to bring it, bring it. Privileges of college. I run the class. You know. Um, and I'm not going to say that I haven't irritated, some other faculty, but we have some that wear like bow ties to class. Me, I'm there in my flip flops, shorts, and a t-shirt.
Usually a black t-shirt, khaki shorts, black
Yeah.
flip flops, and he usually takes those off.
Yeah, and there was one
He's a
guy.
laid back professor.
He's retired, but every time we would pass in the halls, I would wave, salute, take both hands and go, hey, whatever, pass him. And he would just kind of look me up and down. He's a good guy, but he was kind of old school in a lot of ways. I'm old school in a lot of ways. Just
You are.
I have done the custom suits, Italian loafers kind of thing, worked in, wore that for decades. Mom got sick, quit that, started taking care of her, did a little part-time work in a hospital and surgery. My background's kind of in surgery. And got used to wearing scrubs again. And then moved up here to the beach. And that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. Just became really a bum.
I think you have like 2 suits now.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And neither one fits, So yeah, even wearing shoes, my toes have spread out. Even wearing shoes now is difficult. So, and I won't argue anybody that goes, oh, you probably gone a little too far in the bum aspect. Privileges of tenure. So,
true.
But in some ways, I think it helps the students feel more comfortable coming to me, asking me about questions, personal issues, whatever. I mean, I'll have them come in my office and ask for dating advice. It's hilarious.
You?
Yeah.
Dating advice. Okay.
Yeah, I had one kid come into my office crying, literally bawling, because the girl he had been dating since high school dumped him for some other guy. He was like a junior, sophomore, junior. Yeah. And I'm like, dude,
boo.
She did you the biggest favor. If she was going to dump you, she dumped you in a place that's a happy hunting ground. You have more opportunity for dating and meeting girls than you ever will the rest of your life. Secondly, if she's that kind of girl, it's a whole hell of a lot better finding out now. If she didn't love you, didn't want to stay with you, it's a whole hell of a lot better finding out now than after you marry her, maybe have a kid.
True. And
She
Sky
did you a
Ricky,
great favor.
UNCW is mostly females. Clay can probably tell you the percentages of females
Yeah,
to males, but
we're about 65% female. Being a university on the beach, we attract a lot of people that want to lay out on the beach, want to surf. We're usually one of the top 3 in surfing universities in surfing competition. So we get a very significant beach going student population. And I agree, Melissa, wearing shoes is the worst.
I agree as well.
Yeah, I'll kick off my flip-flops, walk around barefooted. And,
in class, not
in
just
class.
at home.
Yeah, not just at home. In class. And I don't lecture at the front. I'll walk around the class. I pace. And this room is called the financial markets room. You really can't see, but there's like a big ticker board with all the stocks on it, 4 or 5 TVs. There's a big colorful, very colorful ticker display of stocks as they are sold with their prices and major announcements. It's a very colorful, active room. And the back wall is all glass.
The cool thing about UNCW is that they teach like how the stock market works, like the actual stock floor in Wall Street or on Wall Street would.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why this room was designed, supposedly to utilize it for training in trading activities. And we've got, good relationship with Bloomberg, huge data provider, several data providers. And we usually end up putting more kids on Wall Street than some of the larger schools, including the Ivy League or top 20 schools. One big advantage to that is this city is a location for a lot of retirees, New York, Boston, Jersey, etc. And we have more Fortune 500 retired Fortune 500 executives per capita than anywhere else. And so these guys with still relatively strong contacts and information moved down here to retire, but they still want to remain active. They still want to contribute in some shape, manner, or form.
We've got a big angel network at UNCW as well.
Yeah. So we have this network called CEN Network, CEN, Cameron Executive Network. And we'll take a student, like each of these students, and assign them one of these executives to mentor them. And so they'll meet for lunch. Sometimes they'll go over to the house, have dinner, meet several times. They'll do some mock interviews with them. They'll help them, with their resume. And as they get to know them and grow comfortable with them, they can actually at their former place of work. And so, we've been doing this for 10, 15 years. And now we've got kids at every major primary, Goldman, Morgan, Bank of Tokyo, which is really hard to hire Americans. BOA, Citi, BlackRock, we have them everywhere.
Barclays.
And getting a Barclays, yeah, we really have a very strong network of alumni.
You need to get Davenport on here.
Oh, I doubt he would do it now, but he's off and running on other stuff.
I could probably talk him into it.
Maybe. Former student, he got a job with Lehman Brothers about, 3, 4 months, 5 months before they tanked.
Well, he came. So I was the hairstylist for a fraternity at UNCW, one of them came to me, then the next came to me, and they said, "Will you give us a discount if we all come to you?" I was like, "Sure." So I did that. Davenport, he had a girlfriend that he'd had since high school. He didn't want to leave North Carolina. He was brilliant in finance. He said, "I've got a couple interviews in New York. Should I go? Should I just stay in North Carolina?" And I said, "Go, go and stay to learn enough to make you solid in what you do." I said, "But don't stay too long where it makes you too hard as a human in the, Wall Street stuff." So I cut his hair right before he went for his interview with Lehman. And Clay, continue.
So he was up there, 6 months, just barely getting his feet wet, getting a little background, and Lehman goes belly up. So everybody's packing up their box and walking
This
out the
is
door.
0809. What was this? Right?
September of 08.
Oh wait, okay.
And, he was sharp enough guy. He'd made a few friends. He got on at Barclays, I believe.
Barclay. Yes.
And stayed with them a couple of years, then ended up moving back down here to Raleigh. And he's, working with last I heard, which was 2 years ago, he was working with a portfolio group up there. So sharp kid, made some good choices, earned his way. He worked hard, and he made some of his own breaks. So we also have a couple of day session coming up we do for the students. It's called Business Week, and we'll have some of these former students come down, or businesses in the area, state of North Carolina, make presentations to the students. So it's 2 days of just constant presentations, and the students dress up, suits, dresses, whatever, professional business attire, and they'll go to these meetings and hear these speakers talk about their different fields, different opportunities, how they got to where they are. And it gives them a better idea of career choices and what it takes to get the job and succeed in that job. But a third of the speakers are former graduates. Like one of the young ladies coming down to speak, former student of mine, her first job was with BlackRock, huge fund manager. And then she got a job, I believe it was also with Barclays. And so, but she's coming down to speak. She'll have a session. And it's just, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 former students of mine speaking out of maybe 20 speakers over the 2 days.
Is snow coming?
No. Snow?
Yeah. I'm not going to say his first name.
Okay. Don't believe reasons. So. Yeah. No, that's good.
He was the year under Dav.
Yeah. Don't know of him. That was before I got there. I got there Dav's last year.
Okay. I feel old when you're like, I got here when the guys the fraternity you were cutting hair were already graduated. That makes me feel very old. Just saying.
So the thing is, we've got these mentors which open up a lot of doors and help the students prepare a little better. But the main thing is they go into the interviews, they actually do a better job of interviewing than a lot of the Ivy League kids. Some of the Ivy League schools, the difficult thing is getting in. Once you're in, particularly at the undergraduate level, it's not that difficult. The graduate level, by all means, go to go to a top Ivy League school. But for undergraduate, in some ways, I mean, I'm biased, but you can be biased and still be honest. I've obviously talked with a number of employers, interviews, former students. Our kids do quite well in some of the training sessions. For example, Goldman runs I believe it's 9-week training program 3 times a year. And, part of what they cover will be fixed income derivatives. And my students are the ones teaching some of the Ivy League students how they work and how to answer some of the problems.
And
If
Ivy
they've
League
taken that,
students teach your students DEI.
yeah.
Sorry.
So,
That's so
really
funny.
proud of my students. They work. And, most of them, like I say, most of my classes are electives. So not required. Now I'll teach an intro investing class. And last year, because we were short, I taught the intro corporate class. And the intro corporate class was probably 60-40 male to female. But that's required of everybody going into business. So a lot of those will be rolling over into management or marketing.
And
More
I've been
people-oriented skills rather than quantitative skills.
trying to get Clay to teach some of his basic classes online somehow. Put it on an online university thing, or do just. I know you can do that, but even my son took or went. I took my son to one of Clay's classes. He's like, "Why don't they teach this in high school? Like, this is important." And I'm like, "I don't know. Good question." He's like, "They should." I was like, "I get that. Everyone should know basic finance. Everyone should know basic real estate. Everyone should know basic life skills."
Yeah,
So
and
I'm hoping that's
probably something need to, get back more to, is on some of these nights covering go into some of the basics of investing. And the problem is it's quantitative. You've got to understand some of the background math, time value of money, those kind of things. They aren't extremely complex, but they're not terribly exciting.
it doesn't have to be
They
exciting. It just has to be useful. Like when you say
yeah,
derivatives,
they
my brain
don't
goes into out there. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah, but they don't engender a whole lot of conversation. It's like sometimes I talk about the teeter-totter,
Mm-hmm.
the
Often.
yeah, and use it often. And I think because I've used it often that it's starting to make more sense. But the first time I showed it, I was getting some comments like, "I don't understand," or "that doesn't make, sense," or whatever. And it's hard just talking about these things when, I don't have a whiteboard to work out the problem or work it with you. And even if I did that, I think that would be painfully boring and detailed for a lot of people.
I don't know, Clay.
So there's to me there's kind
Start
of a fine
simple.
line on this medium.
Start simple and see where it goes.
Yeah. I mean, we can do some of that. And
I think we
I
should.
might just try to do it as a series of short videos rather than covering it for 2 hours. If I can break it down into 2-3 minute segments, something like that. I don't know. You could always do some of those types of videos for members. That's a good idea.
Now, I know that's a very good idea. I know that he's probably watching right now. And hey, I took my concealed carry renew class because, of course, I let mine expire. Not that long, a few weeks ago, and one of Clay's students, ex-students or former students, was in the class, and it was kind of cute because he kept asking lots of questions, and Clay just laughed. He said, "Man, that guy, he wants the nitty gritty detail of every single thing that he had ever possibly imagined happening in any scenario." He was like, I remember talking to him for hours in my office. And he was like, it was kind of funny because I had other things I had to do, but I was like, all right, here we are. Let's do it. Let's go through every single financial scenario, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just
He
funny he
just,
was in the same class.
yeah, he wanted to know. He wanted to learn. And you got to respect the hell out of that. And a great guy, just salt of the earth. No pretensions about him whatsoever.
Sweetheart. So sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Good guy. Love him. Enjoyed having him. But yes, he would he would come up with questions. Always. Um, and it's funny. I'll have some students. I get some students who are, I would describe them as human calculators, just
I
very
like you.
quantitative. I don't describe myself as a calculator. And
I do.
I'll be working a derivative problem on the board. And, I'm thinking ahead kind of while I'm writing. So on occasion, I'll be writing something and then looking at it going, that's not going to give me the solution that I want. And I'm thinking, okay, I screwed up. And occasionally I'll have a student go, well, Dr. Moffat, 2 lines previously, you added wrong. I mean, it will be something insanely simple. My formula and the breakdown of it, the complex part is all correct, but I will screw up on the simple
The
stuff.
tiny things.
Yeah. And that's hard to find, because I'm sitting there thinking it's got to be, I wrote down, I didn't remember the formula correctly or the PDF, or I took the wrong derivative, something.
No, it's just the number.
Yeah.
I've seen
It's
you do it.
something simple. Yeah. It's
I know
something simple.
Maddie and when I said on one of your classes, Maddie was there and she came and introduced herself afterwards. We were talking in the middle and she was like, because I was on my phone going, this is not correct. What's up there? And she was like, yeah, he ain't got it right. We were like, we get what you're coming from, but yeah,
Yeah,
we're still off.
I've had 2 Maddies, and both of them have just been firecrackers. One of them's little redhead, one of them's blonde.
The redhead is my favorite.
Yeah, they're both just firecrackers. I don't think you've met the blonde or know the blonde.
But the redhead was.
Yeah. Sky Ricky, math changed so much. My grandkids are in 2, 4, 7, 11. I don't do math the same way I was taught.
That is excuse me, pardon my French, the fucked up math that it takes 15 steps to do 2 times 2. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, there's kind of a reason why kids can't do math now.
I mean, seriously. They messed it up. It's Obama. He did this.
Well, I think it goes back probably to Bush. What was the big education initiative?
No, that was Obama. He did the.
No, it's Bush. Can't think of the name of it. But education has been getting worse for decades, my opinion. We spend more and more money and get less and less in terms of the result. I was talking to a class today and I said, okay, you have $1, you lose 50% of it. What return do you have to earn to get back to your starting point? And most of the class was pretty stumped. I don't know whether they thought it was a trick question, the answer was too easy, or whether they were really struggling with the math. I know a fair amount of them were struggling with the math. I've had kids that can't convert 0.25 into a fraction or vice versa.
Common Core math.
Yeah. But that wasn't the problem that I was thinking of. There was another government program, and I can't think of the name of it, but I'll think of it. But basically, ever since the Department of Ed has been going, education's been getting worse and worse. Parents have less and less influence. And to me, that's a big problem with education. You know, the schools want parents to work with their kids at home, but they don't want the parents' input on what or how things should be taught, which to me is a kind of an interesting issue. You want the parents to just shut up and do what they're told. And that pushes parents away further from being involved in the educational process. They think it's the school's responsibility to educate their kids.
Well, but the problem is they took it away from the parents when they decided to do this Common Core crap. So I could not teach my children how to do math anymore because that's not right. That's not what you're supposed to do. This is not how we learned it. And I'm like, what do you mean that's not how you learned it? Seriously? And Obama was the president when this Common Core crap was put into place.
Yeah, he put in some. Bush put in some. The two Bushes or whatever. I can't think of the name of the program. But like I say,
educational initiative for something.
Education has been going downhill for 30 or 40 years.
They're making us dumber. When you can't take two numbers and multiply by two numbers and just do it the old way, where you have to have like 15 boxes to make it happen. No, that's not how it works. And so now we as parents can no longer teach our kids if you don't do it the right way, the way they want you to, then you get an F.
Yeah, math skills are getting worse. Reading comprehension is getting worse. Grammatical skills getting worse. Kids aren't even taught cursive in a lot of schools now. They won't even be able to read the Declaration of Independence on their own.
They don't teach penmanship. My son spelled a word in kindergarten, every word on spelling test correctly. But his penmanship wasn't great, so he got a 50.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't teach that. Seriously?
So, you know, it is changing. You know, colleges used to teach, you know, advanced critical thinking skills. Now we teach more and more remedial classes.
Wait, I didn't realize people couldn't read cursive.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they don't teach. They haven't taught cursive in decades.
That's messed up.
Yeah, cursive is like writing in code now. So if you've got something you don't want your kids to be able to understand, you know, a message to give to the other adult, write it in cursive.
Well, I'm one of those that does half and half when I'm just writing normally, half cursive, half not cursive. I don't know. Apparently,
no, I get it. Like I say, I've been, particularly now that I'm involved in it more, I've become a huge critic of the modern educational system. Primary, secondary, college. We are failing these kids.
But you are the modern education system.
I am the modern you know, I'm not the system. I'm just a itty bitty cog in it. Mm-hmm. Now, tonight's kind of a random night, obviously, if you can't tell. there's, it's just one of those weeks. There was nothing really earth shaking going on in the news. So, and y'all haven't exactly been, flowing with the questions either. Y'all just kind of riding along with us. But
Well, that's fine.
did see some kind of interesting things going on this week, particularly with um, our old friend FTX and
Oh
Bitcoin.
no.
Well, this one's not too bad. I'm going to start off with the well known, much loved Elizabeth Warren, who tweeted this, complaining about the SEC approving the Bitcoin ETF. The SEC is wrong on the law and wrong on policy with respect to the Bitcoin ETF decision. If the SEC is going to let crypto burrow even deeper into our financial system, then it's more urgent than ever that crypto follow basic anti money laundering rules.
I'm not touching that one. And
Well,
by the way, I was not winking at anyone. I'm just trying. I've got a cataracts in this eye, but I got to have them both to see. So I was trying to figure out which one was better for reading this. I apologize.
well, good old Elizabeth. If we actually look at what's used for money laundering, according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, since 2017, cash has been used for $20 trillion in money laundering. Bitcoin has been used for, I'm sorry, this is 20,000. Let me make sure. I forgot to pull it off. I think this is in millions. So this would be 20 trillion. This would be 33 million. So that's the difference between actual cash used for money laundering and what Bitcoin has been used for in money laundering since 2017. The idea is that money laundering, who needs to launder money mostly? It's the drug cartels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do the cartels need to launder money? It's because they collect tons of cash, tons and tons of cash. If you've ever watched the Narcos series, you see, and I mentioned this the other night. We talked about this briefly the other night. Um, what's the dude's name? The big cartel
I don't
leader on
know.
Narcos.
Uh, my
Medellin.
brain's in, yeah, the Medellin cartel, which was I bet Melissa knows. She always has the answers.
My mind's just drawing a blank. Anyway, in the series, it shows the dude bearing barrels of cash just in various sites on farms throughout the countryside. He didn't have enough ways to get rid of the cash. I remember, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, there was a abandoned house in Mexico that the police, raided. They found over $200 million in cash just boxed up in plastic, stored in this house in different rooms. They had nowhere to put it. They had no way to process it all. So cash is the big money laundering problem, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not used in a whole lot of illegal activities that the money laundering laws would apply to. Melissa, Miss Bickle, yeah, Miss Bickle is rolling over in her grave over this. My high school English teacher, she was a stickler for correct penmanship. We,
Escobar. Thank you, Cheerful. That was it. Sorry.
yes, Escobar, thank you. We need more Miss Bickles. I don't know where they all went to, but we need more Miss Bickles. Um, Oh, that's you. I was about to read that.
It said you. No, Cheerful's asking about. She said she's talking
Yeah.
about the cataract, and I'm like, yeah, well, it's a genetic thing. So
So, with regards to money laundering, simple facts. Crypto, by almost all accounts, SEC and others, accounts for less than 1% of all monetary illicit activity. It's just not well suited to criminal activity on any
but what
large
about
scale.
black market?
What about it?
Well, it's untraceable, right? So why wouldn't the black market use more of crypto?
Because they like cash.
Okay, cool.
They want most things in cash. Um, how many drug deals have you seen where the drug dealer has his phone and is, swapping Bitcoin with the crackhead?
I don't know. I don't hang out with drug dealers.
Well, Ellen,
Sorry. I hang out
um,
with two Morkies. I don't, which have left me. So.
apparently those treats did the trick.
I think they're
Um,
heading your way.
about 85% of all U.S. cash
Hey, Ruru.
has cocaine on it, traces of cocaine on it.
Literally,
Literally,
or just okay.
literally, cash in
Scary.
circulation. Yeah, 85% of it
Nice.
has cocaine on it. The Bitcoin ledger. Now, some people say Bitcoin is public. Some people say it's private. Some say it's untraceable or
Oh,
unhackable. It's all of the three. One, cheerful. Not always. There was a story in Wired a year ago where the feds traced a lot of Bitcoin transaction to their owners, basically buying illegal pics of children. These people thought it was untraceable. Yeah, again, like the graph showed, some of it is used for illicit activities. Now, money laundering is a different thing than just using it for illegal transactions.
and
So
whoever
let me be
freaking
specific.
okay.
That graph I showed was money laundering. Okay, you've got money, you're trying to wash it and make it legitimate. Bitcoin is not at all suitable for that. Drug transactions, it's all cash. Most black market is cash, but it doesn't mean Bitcoin isn't used for some illicit activities. It is.
Cheerful.
Now,
I hope the ones that they caught buying illegal pics of children were all shot and killed. Sorry.
yeah. Melissa, if I start a black market money laundering scheme to pay for the vet bills, I promise not to bring your name into it. Melissa.
What vet bills? What? Who's Melissa again? What? Huh?
Yeah, we are way too lenient on pedos now. And it's growing. Child sex trafficking is just almost ignored.
Just prison.
It's
Prison is not nearly enough for them.
yeah.
I know many of you know that I was a victim of that just from seeing me on other channels, other comments. And it's not fair that a child victim of sexual abuse has a life sentence. And the people who create it, support it, purchase it, whatever, they get a few years in prison. They get not nearly what the victim has to live with. So,
yeah, some of them are even protected by the system. Mm-hmm. Where are all the, we know some of the victims of Epstein, young underage girls. We don't know a single name of somebody who was paying for that and who
No.
basically abused those girls. No investigation, no charges, and it's no secret. So what's the holdup? Anyway, it's contemptible.
I just, I, I wish I could give a voice to those who were as little as I was, 4, 5, 6, 7, when it happened to me. And, you know, I was told no one will believe you. Even my mother told me that. No one cares. And I hope that, especially, the movie that we saw, Tim Ballard, I hope that people understand that it's a bigger issue than most people think it is. It's happening in every town in America. It happens all the time. People just don't realize it. Oh,
Yep. Seen some shorts where ex-convicts claim that child molesters and rapists get harassment from other
I hope
inmates.
so.
Yeah, the harassment, if they're able to get to them, normally is probably pretty severe.
Hmm.
And
Should be.
I hope it continues for a long, long time. We won't go into details, obviously, but my problem is not enough of them are prosecuted and arrested. And even in terms of having to support them in prison for 20, 30, 40 years. It's just, I think the problem's getting worse. I think part of it is, even the coverage, you have people advocating for it now as an alternative lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell, people? Just what? Anyway, don't get me started on it.
I'm a little confused on this one.
There was a story this week I heard about a guy at a burger place, 27 years, no sick days, washing dishes. Long story short, the gift they gave him was a piece of chocolate cake for his retirement.
Uh-huh.
That's all he got at his retirement.
Oh, okay, we're going back to something way before this. Okay, then.
He worked in Vegas. Daughter opened a GoFundMe to collect $200.
Really?
People heard his story, and he now had $500,000.
Sweet. That's a good story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's one problem with a lot of jobs. And I'm not complaining about the jobs, but they don't have retirement. But what would happen to the price? We've already seen the huge jumps in fast food. A meal at a fast food restaurant now is what, $8 to $10?
No, we went and got 2 burgers and 2 fries. No drinks. $20.
Yeah. But I'm saying, kind of nationally, that was at a, little hamburger joint, good smash
No,
burger joint.
no, it wasn't. That was
Where
like
was
at
it?
Hardee's.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was thinking the other place.
Mm-mm.
Well, now, what if they had to pay the employees an additional 20 or 30% more to provide a retirement plan? It'd be great for the employees, but it'd probably put the hamburger joint out of business. People go to fast food because it's cheap.
Not
So,
anymore.
yeah, with the current price increases in fast food, I wonder if they already aren't pricing themselves out of the market. I know, we're going less. Part of that's because, I'm trying to eat a little healthier, but practical reality, $10 for a lunch or a quick meal.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
You used to could do like Taco Bell for $3 for lunch. You're good. You had way more food than you needed. But I do want to ask a quick question before you get to this. So there's a rumor, not really a rumor, a fact that BlackRock and a lot of those big companies who invest pensions, retirement funds, 401ks, whatever, use that money to buy larger positions of companies so they can have more votes on the board to affect the way those companies vote on things. I'm gonna leave it there.
That's kind of right, but I would change the wording because BlackRock is a fund manager. So, retirement funds or whatever hire BlackRock to manage the money. BlackRock becomes the trustee of those funds and then can take them and buy stocks. They don't buy more stocks to gain control, they're just buying stocks as an investment. And as the trustee, they get to vote those shares. And
Which could
so
be your
that's
shares
where,
or my shares or anyone's shares,
yeah,
and
if you
vote
have
the
a
way they
retirement, if you
free
have a
will.
retirement plan, you never get a proxy vote statement for the shares that you hold in your retirement. Particularly if it's a professionally managed fund. If you just own the shares individually in your retirement fund, like your IRA, and you go out and buy shares of Apple, you'll get it for that. But if you own it in a managed fund, then you won't get the proxy. The trustee votes the shares. And
i.e.
BlackRock
BlackRock
has
and
been very active at trying to push their social agenda. They're not, most companies historically have just gone along with the CEO's recommendations,
not anymore.
unless there's really something they see that is hurting the shareholders.
Do you think it's more of a WEF push on the votes of the quote unquote stockholders that aren't actually stockholders but own
Well,
the
I think
majority shares?
most of the people that are pushing the more, well, for simplicity's sake, we'll just call it a woke agenda, are probably closely aligned with the WEF.
We can just call it bug eating at this point.
Yeah, with the bug eaters are generally closely aligned with the WEF. Now, things like DEI have taken a pretty big hit the past few weeks. The Harvard president, Gay, has really kind of thrown a wrench into that works. And I think a lot of people are saying this excessive push just based on skin pigmentation is not only wrong, but it's harmful. You're putting people who are not as skilled, not as qualified into some of these positions, and the results are starting to be painful.
Okay, can we back up just 1 second? Because I would like for you to kind of drive this home with pensions, 401ks, all of the retirement investments that people like the government, if you're a government employee, you're probably managed by BlackRock or one of the other big names. Drive home how that money is taking away your basic freedom. You work your whole life. You put money into a pension fund or 401k or whatever. retirement fund. It's invested in BlackRock. And BlackRock is taking your proxy votes for these companies. And they are making decisions that you might not agree with.
Yeah, I don't know of any way around that.
Now I just want to drive home the message.
Well, they are advocating certain policies that aren't focused on business, that aren't focused on improving the cash flow of those businesses. And that's the problem I have with it.
The
Is
point of
anything
investing,
anything they do that detracts from improving cash flow
exactly.
ultimately is harmful to the shareholders, results in a lower return.
The point of investing in companies should be that you get a high return on your investment. Correct? Isn't that?
Well, the only reason anybody invests is to make money. That's not evil. That's not immoral. That's the goal.
No,
That's why people invest. So if BlackRock is doing something that reduces that return, that ultimately hurts the shareholders.
They are,
and
it
hurts the performance of the company.
For proxy voting.
They're doing it via proxy voting.
Yeah.
But they're imposing their political whimsy on the companies and on the shareholders.
Sum that up in like a brief statement, because I will flip this out and
some of the major firms, BlackRock, maybe Fidelity, Vanguard, are less concerned with shareholder returns than they are in implementing their political agenda. That ultimately is harmful to shareholders and their future standard of living. Anything that focuses management's attention away from effectively running the business, anything that takes management's focus away from finding the best individual, the most qualified individual to run that position, to fill that position, these things will hurt and negatively affect shareholder return. They will negatively affect cash flow. So by doing that, I would argue that these trustees are breaching their fiduciary responsibility to act on behalf of the shareholders and to manage the funds in the best interest of the shareholders.
Would you say
they're managing these funds in the best interest of certain politicians and political cronies.
So you would say they're bargaining your money for their own political interests.
They're utilizing your money for their own political interest. Yes.
Fair enough. Thank you.
And I don't think there's a whole lot of debate. Now, the only question is if they're supporting your particular political perspective, you're probably not as bothered by that. But just think about if they were supporting a far different political objective on the other end of the scale.
And you still weren't getting the value for your money you should be. Because they're not supporting the actual goal of the company to make money. They're supporting an agenda. Doesn't matter what side you're on.
The only thing they should be encouraging is operating the company as efficiently as possible and
making the most money as possible. Yeah.
Make the money. Show me the money. In the words of the immortal philosophizer Rod Tidwell.
Show it. You gotta show it.
Why did I not already have this up?
No idea. Melissa, I apologize. He's gonna have that. Dream
I
on,
am
Muppet.
just I am just not used to this.
Get the
This
volume.
is
We still
I
don't have
gotta
it quite right, but we're getting there. He's still not there.
hold on. 50 buttons.
Show me the money!
Try again. We
Show
almost
me
got it
the
all.
money! Show me the money!
Yeah, we got to work on that.
Yeah.
I don't know how we. I'll talk with Melissa. We'll get it figured out.
Well, there's
But
also
terrible.
got to be a better way on StreamYard to pop it up. You know,
The
where I
technical
don't have to.
process make it fun. Makes it interesting. You know, we're professionals. That's what we do.
You know, if I like, I might show this pic on screen, and then I want to pop up the video, which
You
I
can't.
just played. I'm going to do it. Here it is.
Show me the money!
Now, could you hear that?
I could hear it, but it's just not matched up.
But you
Careful.
could
The
still hear
problem.
it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's just do one problem at a time. But you could hear it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, sometimes when I've done that, maybe it's when I click off and then go back to it.
Show me the money!
Stop it.
Could you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not cooperating now. Or something used to be when I would do that, the
Chokers.
sound, the audio would not function correctly. So
Maybe they changed things.
I have to kill everything, and then to bring it up, I have to start it up, and then I have to stop the share, go back, reshare the screen, and sharing that, I have to click 4 different buttons to get it to share.
Cheerful.
So-
The problem with Chunk, hang on. The problem with Chunk is that you can't see Chunk. He's just kind of a black blur.
But there's
I don't
like
even
10
know.
there's like 10 things I have to click on to do that. And I'm like, there ought to be some way to automate that process or something to where it pops up and plays.
Melissa, I will work on the very thing you're talking about. We can work that out. Chunk is so hard to see. Chunk, he's just a black blur. Like, I asked someone to make a drawing of Toulouse and Chunk, and they're like, Chunk is just he's just all black. Like there's you can't unless you're unless you're right unless you're right with him, then yeah, you just can't. Like you don't see him. He's just an outline of black. And Melissa, I'm gonna go try that right now, actually.
The full screen thing is my problem because one of the buttons here that I can choose is a full screen like this. Whoops. Like this.
Mm-hmm.
But because I have that particular screen kind of small, it doesn't show up. And I'm used to just clicking on, which one is it? This one.
Oh.
So I'll try to get better at that. I can improve that.
Okay. And I'm gonna need you to send that to Melissa. We'll talk about that because we gotta delete some people. And the play button.
There's a way to pop up and play. I just don't know what it is. You and
We
me
need to
both.
give her access so she can figure it out.
Okay. I have no problem with that.
I know you don't. But you're gonna have to do it because I can't do it if I'm not logged in as you.
Chuck needs that Hollywood lighting. You know, you can use most any lighting. He's still going to be a black blob. He is just dark as night. You can't even see
I
his
tried.
eyes.
I tried to draw him once, and Clay saw what it occurred to be. It was just like two black floppy things and a black thing. It was just like I can't like he has nothing
Yeah.
in his face that is highlighted or white or anything.
Unless his chin is up a little higher, then you can see the white on the bottom of his chin. But if his
He looks
chin
like
is
an old
down,
man.
yeah, if his chin is down, you can't tell his ass from his face.
I've seen Clay pictures. He's like, "Where's his head? Which side?" I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
seriously. On other people's streams, it doesn't show the thumbnail beforehand and the play button controls. One cheerful. Money. Show me the money. Melissa, it just pops and plays. Yeah, I would love to know what hosting system they are using. We obviously use StreamYard.
They use StreamYard.
And what
I just
the
texted
trick,
Melissa.
yeah, what the trick is to get that to happen in better order, I have not seen or been able to figure out. So any suggestions, ideas, obviously will be welcome. We're relatively new professionals. So what's that? Instead of WAP, it's now WRNP, RNAP. Yeah, Emily D. Baker uses those all the time. Ellen was just saying that others use it and are able to do it. Need to figure out how, I will admit. So we will get that. Hadn't really thought of it before because we really didn't have a swoop or swoosh. But now that we do, need to get it figured out. All right, a couple other things. Since this is a random night, we're on the Bitcoin topic. Saw this tweet.
I think we're more like womp. We are not professionals.
Yeah, but the WAP became kind of legendary.
I know, but
I hear him. Oh, anyway.
I'm bringing him down because he's
Okay.
insane.
For those of you that have been following Bitcoin to some degree, you may notice the last week or two, it's fallen. And a lot of, I've seen some people and even posted some of their comments about almost predicting the demise of Bitcoin, even though ETFs have been approved. Well, saw this tweet and kind of new information to offer up. And it involves our well-known, much-loved FTX. FTX shocks market with $1 billion ETF sell-off, and Alameda drops bombshell lawsuit against Grayscale. What's been happening is FTX's bankruptcy proceedings sold about $1 billion of an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF. Grayscale was running a Bitcoin ETF. Now, there's some history with the Grayscale fund in that originally it was not approved by the SEC for public sale. So it was sold only to accredited investors. Accredited investors you can think of generally as millionaires. And so it couldn't trade publicly, couldn't trade shares. It was hard to buy and sell. Well, that caused kind of a dissonance between the offering price and the actual underlying value. Well, people have been exploiting that, selling it, because the sales price is gotten to be higher than the underlying value. So they sell it and then roll that money supposedly over into the newly approved, Morgan BlackRock ETFs. Well, the problem is, and we're just finding this out, a big chunk of those sales were FTX. The bankruptcy managers are dumped about $1 billion in Bitcoin to raise cash, to pay debts, and to pay out the remainder to shareholders. So they sold basically $1 billion of Bitcoin. Now, good news, bad news. Yeah, this has negatively impacted the price, but it is kind of a weird one-time event and doesn't really reflect broad market negativity. And this happened to come when the new Bitcoin ETFs with BlackRock and Fidelity gaining approval. Both of them have been gaining in inflows, while the Grayscale fund lost tons of money. So yeah, Bitcoin's price has dipped post ETF approval. Modestly significantly, I think it crossed 46. Today it hit in the 38,000, but it's back up to 39 and a half. But still, that's a fairly significant, 20-25% drop. But the good news is FTX has taken their position down to zero. So this potentially should reduce a lot of the selling pressure. So that was kind of interesting news for those of you following or.
I'm trying. My honey's at the back door doing the thing.
Okay.
And let me get everybody.
Thank you. Lots of videos on YouTube and so little time. I am not I don't watch a lot on YouTube. So particularly with class and this CFA competition and trying to get some research completed, I have been pretty much swamped. I need to, I've got to put my time where my bread is buttered. And YouTube right now is just kind of a loose hobby, but we can do better. Need to figure this out. Yeah, we are professionals, just not StreamYard professionals. So back to the topic. And cheerful. Everyone predicts the demise of Bitcoin. I mean, they've been doing it for, well, literally ever since the inception in 2009. It's been kind of funny. You can almost track the rise of Bitcoin to additional significant predictions of doom. We'll just look at one or two. Yeah. My experience with YouTube is I've got to watch or start watching like 10 before I can find the one I wanted. It's oh God, I hate to bring this up, but the beginning investment video, we even showed a copy, and then watching the copy, I didn't like it. It took her a while to try to finish it up. Well, now that it was finished up, I didn't like it. So I told her I wanted to redo it. Ellen sticking her head in going, that's not my fault. Well, no, it's not her fault. It's mine. So we will have another copy of that. But, I was telling my class today about the beginning investing videos, the other beginning investing videos, I watched most of them. And most of them, like I say on the beginning investing video, are hot garbage because they try to teach you how to be a better individual stock picker, which I think for most individuals is a horrible idea, is a horrible way to invest. Having looked at 1,000 or more portfolios over my career, the average performance by individual investors, by stockbrokers managing the investments, by insurance agents or financial advisors managing the investments has been, 3 to 5% per year. Now I'll ask somebody, how's your stock done? And they go, oh, I just bought Start Company a couple of months ago. It's up 30%. And I'm like, great. How has your whole performance done year by year? And they look at me with this blank face. They have no idea. So, taking a look at it and analyzing cash in, cash out, the total returns, which is not a complex calculation, maybe a little tedious, but it's not difficult. Doing that results normally 95% of the time in a 3 to 5% annual return, which is absolutely, amazingly, impressively horrible if you are in a market that is doing 12 to 15% a year. So just not a big fan of most of, and some of them have some good individual stock buying tips. Some of them are by, legends in the investment community, guys that have successfully managed portfolios. And I'm not knocking their advice for buying stocks. I am saying as an individual beginning investor, it's not suitable advice. It's not your best alternative. It's not in your best interest.
Scoochy scooch.
So, we'll get that damn thing up sometime soon. And this time it's my fault.
And I apologize. Mahoney does this thing where she constantly, we have the door handles that are levers, and she just pops on it to get somebody to open the door. So I did, and then she wanted fresh food, and the dogs wanted to pee. We have
animals for sale.
We just have high maintenance animals.
I wonder where they get that from.
You.
Shit.
It's true.
So anyway, Bitcoin, the price has been hammered. Is it a trend or is it just a trivial event? Trivial being a temporary event, not that it hadn't impacted the price. I think it's more a temporary event, kind of a one-off event. So wouldn't be, surprised to still in a year see Bitcoin be significantly advanced from where it is now. Melissa, now I want buttered bread.
What did I miss?
I don't know. What did I miss? Buttered bread.
Clay just made some bread.
Yeah, I've started making bread because I get tired of all the crap that's in the store-bought bread now. Like I say, I'm trying to eat a little healthier, little cleaner. I'm about to start making sourdough bread, so wish me luck on that. That apparently is a combination of art and following directions.
Well, then I shouldn't make it.
Oh, you talked about having your bread buttered. Yeah. See, in class, I'll get on one of these rants or whatever, and then students will ask me to repeat it. And I'm like, repeat what? I have no idea of what I just said. I really don't remember. I just get on a roll and it just flows. Sourdough is the best. Feel free to send some our way.
Absolutely.
And, there's also ways to make like little sourdough muffins and sourdough pizza crust. And so hopefully when I get it down pat, I'll be doing some other things with it too. And yes, I agree. Homemade bread is wonderful. The first loaf I made, I thought it was pretty good.
Clay and I did this thing. He's like, you want to make some bread? I was like, we'll make bread. He was like, do you want sweet bread or sourdough bread? And I was like, which is the quickest? He's like, sweet bread. I was like, okay, you do that. I was like, I'm going to make some cinnamon raisin bread. So Clay is like into the whole rolling of the dough and doing the things. And I'm like, I'm going to try and mix her. Okay, that didn't work. So yeah, we'll just kind of wing it.
And part of it's a learning process. Like hers was very thick. Hers rose faster than mine initially, but then stopped. And hers was very thick and heavy. It
But it's
wasn't as
yummy.
airy and fluffy. And I think some of that is like you might have needed a little bit more water.
It actually needed the dough a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been trying to read on it and study up some. I
Okay.
think you needed a little bit more water. And there's
Oh.
just a lot of little things. You really have to develop a feel for the dough. How tacky is it? How scruffy is it? How moist is it? And so, we're kind of just beginning the learning curve. So,
Yeah, and baking and cooking are completely different animals. I can cook about anything. I can take anything out of the pantry and be like, okay, I'll make something out of this. But baking is a very exact science, Melissa. It is a super science. You have to have everything just right. And yeah, I'm not as good of a baker as I am a cooker. I don't have the patience, I don't think. But Clay does.
well, we'll see. It does take a little time, but it's something I'm kind of interested in for, like I said, obvious reasons. I think homemade bread is actually better on your glycogen levels, a lot of reasons. But anyway, we talked last week about Argentina's, and I kind of laugh when I say this, their crazy new president.
I love him.
This guy's a hoot. If you're not following this guy, you need to follow this guy because he is a character. We talked about him at the WF meeting, just getting up there on stage with all these elites, all these politically powerful people, rich and famous and billionaires and whatever. And he's up there ripping them a new one, just without hesitation. Well, he's only been in office a few weeks in Argentina, but he has made a ton of changes. And you got to understand, Argentina is screwed. Their inflation rate last month for December was 25%. That's not 25% a year.
It's a month.
That's 25% in 1 month. So this guy, I'm going to call him, I hate the term, but I'm going to call him a radical because his views are so different than what they have voted for decades. They've been pretty much a leftist voting people.
They're sick of it.
Well, the adage we have on this show is stupid should hurt. In fact, we've even got hats now. Do you have one? Yeah, go get one. We've even got hats now that, have that embroidered on the back. Stupid should hurt. Well, once the pain gets enough, people will be more willing to change their beliefs, their habits, who and what they vote for. Well, that happened in Argentina. So they vote for his guy, which a lot of the people in power said, this guy's crazy. He's just insane. And I mean, if you listen to the guy, sometimes what he says is, it sounds vastly different, almost like he's crazy. But then you listen to him explain it in some detail, and you're like, well, damn.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, the guy knows what he's talking about. Here's the hat. Obviously, the M logo on the front, nice curved bill. And then on the back, you've got stupid should hurt. So nice adjustable little metal clip.
It's got like the alligator clip, which is
Yeah.
nice. And you can tuck the extra in.
So it's a pretty good hat. It's soft.
It's all cotton.
Yeah, all cotton. And so we'll probably order another batch and list them available. Right now, we're just using them for marketing.
So if you need, yes, we need a stupid should hurt swoop. That's for sure. So if y'all, and it is the green. I know you couldn't see it on the
It's the green M that we use as the logo.
double M, the Moffat on the money.
We have merch.
We have a little bit of merch, a tiny bit of merch.
Yep.
And we're trying to, just see how it works out. And
I'm real particular about merch. Anything with my name on it, I want it to be, good quality stuff. I've seen some kind of cheap, tacky, kind of stuff, and I'm just not interested. So, we only got, I think we
6 total.
we only got 6 total.
And Pop got one.
Yeah, Pop got one, Ellen has one, I have one. We've got, a couple left. So we thought about having a competition for one. We just haven't decided what would be a good competition. But we will order some more. We got to find out what the new price will be, or if they're going to put them back on sale. But we will have some more. And yes, we need to figure out StreamYard and a stupid should hurt swoop. We need several swoops.
But yes, we will. Melissa, I texted you.
Yeah. But getting back to Argentina's president, Milei, one thing he did was Argentina over the past 10 years has put in an enormous amount of regulations on all different business areas. And Milei has gone in literally with a machete and cutting the hell out of them. And one of them that he affected greatly, impacted a lot, was the housing market. Well, just in 2 weeks, the supply of rental units in Buenos Aires has doubled. And rental prices have fallen by 20%. So this is just, he's very, very much a free market guy. And with the radicalness, he's not trying to implement any of this slowly. Argentina, like I say, is majorly screwed. And I think no matter what he does, there is no smooth way out of it. There's going to be some pain. So kind of wanted to track. We've never seen such a violent reversal of policies as we've seen from Milei in the past few weeks. So I did, and I will update you, the year ahead on the good and the bad. It won't all be good. I think this is obviously a good thing. It won't all be good, but I think Argentina's only hope you got to understand, Argentina used to be one of the brightest economies, strongest economies in the world, high standard of living. Well, the past 30 years, since they have gone more leftist, even communist, everything has just crashed to hell in a handbasket. So it's a fascinating study of the consequences of ideas. I always say ideas have consequences. Well, this is a real-time laboratory of the consequences of ideas. Mm-hmm. So look forward to seeing it in action over the next year. And, there will be some failures. There'll be some pain. There's no way to get out of a hole that they've dug easily or quickly. Some people are going to be hurt. Main thing to me is long term, will the people be better off or not? Short term, they're screwed anyway. So we'll see. Stupid should hurt. Now, the next thing I saw for the fun of it was this. And I'm a researcher by profession, by trade, by degree. And here's an article by Philip Bump in the Washington Post, doing your own research is a good way to end up being wrong.
Is that because they just want you to be wrong?
No, my point is, we used to believe strongly in this country, and he's really talking about like the COVID vax and whatever, COVID policies, but just carrying it out further. The idea used to be that, particularly in medical and delivery of medical care, people had the right to make informed consent. They had the right to know the good and bad of the medications or treatments they were being given, and then it's their decision.
Shouldn't it still be?
We have moved away from that in terms of the doctor just prescribes something, and the patients either don't have enough time, they don't have enough confidence, they don't have enough knowledge to ask questions. What's the good? What's the bad? What's the repercussions of this? This attitude of telling people not to do your own research, don't seek to become informed, don't seek to make an informed decision, just be an idiot and trust what we say. I just, in my heart of hearts, intellectually, spiritually, mentally, physically, find that revolting. I don't care who you are. You have the right, the God-given right, to determine and know what goes on with your body, your health, your mind, your education, whatever.
May I?
Yeah.
I was listening to interview with the Florida Surgeon General, and he was, you can take my,
Yeah.
thanks.
Working on it.
And he was saying that, you know, the jab, the Fauci ouchie, actually has the potential to change your DNA because the RNA, little things that were in there, it's an RNA vaccine, right? mRNA had DNA attached to it. And he actually asked the NIH, how have you actually researched this to see if the DNA is getting into the cells? And he said that they responded with, well, my cousin's, you know, daughter's playing baseball. And he was like, this is not what because it is a danger. And he got no answer. And he's saying every single vaccine or booster is billions of these mRNA with DNA attached. If the mRNA, which is easy to get into the cells, has the extra DNA on it, it can actually very likely change your DNA.
Yeah, some biochemists and micro researchers have described the mRNA vaccines as gene therapy already. In addition, there are components in the vaccine like SV40, which have been linked to cancer, increased cancer. If you talk to an oncologist, I've heard a number of them say and testify that they have seen a rapid increase in the incidence of cancers, turbo cancers, as they refer to them, rapidly growing cancers. I've seen some studies seeming to indicate that the vaccine causes an increase in prions, which are responsible for like Creutzfeldt-Jacobs, mad cow disease incidents.
Myocarditis is a huge one.
It's pretty much known and accepted the vaccine causes an increase in myocarditis. I don't know if y'all follow, but I'm seeing more and more reports of young people just keeling over dead than I've ever seen before. Athletes in sports all over the world.
Young athletes.
Young athletes and their prime.
Make my team taller.
So this is not medical. Yeah, this is not medical advice. All we're saying is that some of these concerns have been raised, and you have a right to know them, research them, and make the
Your
decision.
own decision.
Yeah. And anybody that tells you not to do your own research is not at all interested in your welfare or
No.
your best interest. They're interested in you shutting up and doing what you're told. And so, on behalf of Ellen, I feel confident in just saying fuck you to them.
Yeah, do your own research, figure out your own risks, figure out what's going on with you, how it can impact your health, and make a decision based on that. We're not saying to take it or not to take it.
Yeah.
We don't care what you do. We care that you make an informed decision because we care about your health. Listen, Melissa, I'm 5'9". It is not all it's cracked up to be. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
She's short.
He says I'm short.
I remember Abe Lincoln when he was president. He would allow people to come in off the streets and just ask him questions. And one day he had a tall guy and a short guy come into his office, and they were arguing over what is the best length for a man's legs to be. And they each, kind of put forth their case. And then they turned to President Lincoln and said, which one's better? And he looked at them and he said, gentlemen, I think the best length for a man's leg is that it be long enough to reach the ground.
That works.
And with that, they were gone. Definitely not.
Information is the hard
Hard
part.
part.
Yeah, it is. It's there are a few resources I trust. The America's Frontline Doctors. They seem to have this figured out before anybody else did. Robert Malone seems to be a thing. And he makes a lot of sense, and he kind of had this as well in the front, like the American Frontline Doctors, about what's going on. But correct information is a lot. I would go, in my opinion, I would look at everything against the vaccine first, or any vaccine, to be honest, and then look at pro-vaccine and just measure them up, see what you think.
Well, I'll simplify it a little bit. One, following Robert Malone is a pretty good source. He's the guy that invented or was heavily involved on inventing the mRNA technology. He actually holds patents on that process. The guy he's been paid to research and consult by the Defense Department, various European nations. He's got a very long and distinguished career in this field and endeavor in this technology. He probably would be a candidate to win the Nobel Prize in medicine, but his views have become somewhat controversial.
He doesn't
So
think it's safe.
my point would be there's a site called JikiLinks. Let's see, JIKKYL.
We need to get into Sky Ricky. She took 3 shingle shots.
Hold on a second.
Okay. That's a cute little mouse. I love him.
Yeah, this site.
Oh. Sorry. If y'all could see what I'm seeing.
You'll see it. Just there you go.
How cute is the mouse?
This site,
I love mice. Sorry.
JikiLeaks, publishes numerous studies. Jay, I'm not even going to try the last name. He is a
Bhattacharya.
medical professor at Stanford.
It's Bhattacharya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Several of these people at Post are researchers at Oxford or whatever. Peter McCullough is
He's
the
awesome.
leading researcher in cardiac research. He has published more papers than any other doctor, peer-reviewed, criticized papers.
And he's a huge fan of Robert
Malone.
Malone. Sorry.
Yeah. So this site is just kind of a collection of research, comments, questions, whatever. It's got a lot of information.
And Malone has a Substack too.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. All the information that he's got.
Yeah. I can't give you, obviously all the websites to follow. My point is find websites that are critical, find websites or information that's supportive, read both. You're not going to be able to make a perfect decision, but you're better informed. You can ask better questions of your doctor. If you trust your doctor, you'll go in and you'll know questions to ask. That's the best advice I can give you is try to be informed as best as you can. Again, your knowledge will never be perfect. It'll never be complete. Some of those things in the studies probably won't make a great deal of sense, but some of the questions, some of the comments, concerns raised are legitimate questions, are legitimate concerns, and you should be aware of those before you acquiesce.
It's funny. I used to, during 2020, 2021, I would go into my doctor's office and he'd walk into the room and say, "Oh, thank God," and take his mask off because he knew that I didn't care. I'm like, okay, you get whatever. It's a thing. And but he was under so much pressure to do the things, and he didn't want to get the vaccine. But he had to. Okay, first question, Skyricky. Have you had chickenpox ever?
Well, let's just jump right into it there. We can at least ask a question, introduce the topic.
No, everyone sees it. Have you had chickenpox? That's sort of the first big issue there. Because having chickenpox is, yes, chickenpox. Okay.
Now, the way my concern, for example, is largely with mRNA vaccines. The vaccine for shingles, the Shingrix, is a dead vaccine, a dead virus vaccine.
Shingles is terrible. My grandmother had it. It was awful. I don't think. Can you open up your iPad for me?
No.
Okay, or your phone, something. Because we can't do two things at once here. Let me look up this. Ooh.
So yeah, and I'm with you, Melissa. I grew up in the times when parents would cart you over to some kid that had chicken pox so you could get infected.
I had it when I was 2.
Yeah. I had it when I was young. I don't know the exact age, and I don't know enough about the vaccine to know whether or not it's really terribly effective. It seems to be. Seems to be reasonably effective. I don't know that it's perfectly effective, but yeah, I agree that it is not something that, I would ever want to experience.
If you've had chickenpox, you're at a lesser degree, I believe, of getting shingles.
Let's see, people at greater risk have medical conditions that obviously they're immunosuppressed. So,
but chickenpox and shingles are the same virus.
Yeah. Or if you're taking steroids. So I honestly cannot think of anybody that I know of that's had shingles.
My grandmother had it, but she never had chickenpox.
People who never had chickenpox or didn't get chickenpox vaccine can get infected from someone who has shingles. You can get the virus through direct contact from the fluid from shingles rash blisters or breathing in virus particles that come from the blisters. So if they get infected, they will develop chickenpox, not shingles. They could then develop shingles later in life. People with chickenpox are more likely to spread VZV than people with shingles.
Typically, if you've had, I had chickenpox and got shingles later in life.
Yeah. It's an offshoot of the chickenpox virus, and that virus stays in your system your whole life. So if you've had chickenpox, you may be more likely to get shingles. That's why they're kind of saying that, I grew up in an age when moms took us to get chickenpox or wanted us to get chickenpox as a kid.
My brother got when he was 5. He brought it home. I was 2, and I got scars to prove it. One right there, one over here, one on my leg. Because how do you stop a 2-year-old from scratching? My grandmother never had chickenpox, but she got shingles. She came over to our house with shingles. We never got any of it.
Yeah, so I don't know. My main, concern or thought is what makes it active again. I don't know. Have not heard.
I would think depressed immunity or immune system.
Yeah, that is probably the best guess. So if your immune system is relatively healthy, hopefully that puts you at a far lower risk. If you are immunocompromised or taking something that suppresses your immune system, there's some evidence that the COVID vax suppresses your immune system.
Yes.
In fact, by the 4th iteration of the vaccine, the infection rates became negative, meaning you were more likely to get infected with COVID than you were otherwise.
Well, because the antibodies in your body are looking for that one specific thing, and they aren't looking at anything else.
Well, the idea is that there's immunosuppression going on, and the body doesn't react as well to a lot of
the normal stuff
infections as it would otherwise. So again, haven't seen anything absolutely definitive on that. Not saying that definitely is the case. It's just something to be aware of.
But I think if you had 3,
I think there's a big reason why doctors aren't recommending the boosters as actively as they used to.
But she's had 3 shingle shots.
Yeah.
I would say she's okay.
I thought there was only 2 in the series. Is there 3?
3 shingle shots right there.
Yeah. I was thinking there was only 2. Maybe there's a new kind out. I know plenty who had chicken pox and got shingles later in life. I have not known anybody, so I can't really comment on it. But I know it's horrible. I mean, cheerful.
Oh, it's super painful.
Cheerful is like a special kind of hell.
It is.
Yeah. So I would be,
You're not just going to grab it from nowhere.
Yeah.
You've got to be around someone who has it, or
if you had chicken pox, you're carrying it and it could activate. But I don't know what causes it to activate.
Only 2 in series, but 15 years ago I had.
Okay.
Sweetheart, you're good. I would not worry about that. I mean, you've done all you can. Measles vaccine. They still do that?
Yeah.
MMR, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Measles, mumps, rubella.
Yeah.
I had that once. I'm done with vaccines, to be honest. You know what? We have 82 vaccines in the U.S. and most countries take 30.
Yeah, and I don't know. When I was growing up, it was what, 6 or 7?
Yeah.
I'm thinking 80 vaccines, 70 or 80 vaccines is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them, polio. Have have offered huge benefits to mankind. We
Yes.
practically eliminated polio infections.
Measles was huge.
Yeah. So I'm not anti-vaxxer, but I just, some of this I wonder if it's just not a profit opportunity by big pharma to try to increase the need for their product. I don't know. I just am not comfortable with lining up my kid for 80 shots.
I'm not lining up myself for 80 shots or
Yeah.
anything. It's just not that I don't trust the government. When the government shows up and says
Yeah.
we're going to help,
Yeah, I mean, my
no.
own personal perspective is I don't even get the flu shots anymore. I got them twice, and each year I got the flu. And one year I had the what was that? Swine flu. I literally understand how that can kill you. I get that completely.
You start snorting.
I was in my bed for 2 days and thought I was going to die. I could not get out of the bed. I couldn't call anyone. I had just absolutely no ability to move. Breathing was the main chore. High fever. Couldn't call anybody. Couldn't tell anybody. I was living alone. So I thought, okay, I'm dead. Good. It's about time.
Moffat.
No, but seriously, I understand how that could kill you. But I had the flu shot.
I never had one. Had the flu once when I was 20.
Yeah, and so I don't get the flu shots anymore. I've just had bad luck with them. And years I have not gotten the flu shot, I've been fine. I've had a minor flu.
Cold.
Yeah, but the swine flu, yeah, I'm not a fan.
Even for pubs, I get the most important things, but not all the things out there.
My Nana died from getting a flu shot.
I'm telling you that stuff. I told my grandfather if he gets another vaccine, I will shoot him myself.
Yeah. I do know someone that died from the swine flu. Yeah, the deaths were very high. And it was a bad year for flu deaths, which was interesting. Once COVID started spreading, they got rid of flu deaths and combined them all with COVID.
Well, because flu is COVID.
No, it's different. Different virus.
It is a COVID virus. Flu is a COVID virus.
But they, had traditionally reported them in separate categories. Now she's Googling it. There are a lot of viruses that are the
with the coronavirus, flu is caused by infection.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We do this a lot. She thinks she's right, and then she has to Google it and finds out
SARS-CoV-2.
It's not the flu.
They are both COVID. If there's a doctor on here, please help me out here.
You can't help her. And it
They're
won't
all
matter.
COVID viruses.
She's stubborn like mule. Even when she Googles the facts, she's like, doesn't matter.
Do I think Google is going to give me like the actual results I want?
No. Ellen doesn't trust anything that disagrees with her. It takes a while.
I just don't trust anything. Like I just don't. I heard doctors say COVID is COVID. COVID's flu. COVID's cold. COVID.
No, it's not. All different.
19 is different.
All different.
He thinks he is okay.
Yeah, and just for the fun of it, I mean, I figured, what the hell? My undergraduate degree's in biochemistry. Not that means anything. I worked 6 years in a hospital.
Mine's
ended up 4 of them
engineering.
in
Fuck off.
surgery.
And I was the only female in my class, by the way, Sky Ricky. I was the only chick there. That was
So
a long damn time ago.
yeah,
Okay. Let me try this one. You keep talking.
I'm just sitting here, amazed. She
She's
doesn't trust
loading.
Google, but she still will Google. And then when she gets an answer she likes, she's like, "Ha, I was right."
That's how all this works.
But if Google gives her one that she doesn't like, she's like, "I don't trust Google." This is my life, y'all. She tried again and strikes out at the plate.
You didn't know. You're not even letting me go. He just
What else
grabbed the
is there?
mouse, by the way. He
Yeah,
just
we have
grabbed it.
got work to do, not for you to sit here and try to prove that.
I
what
know
you
it's
don't know, you
true.
don't
I've
know.
heard doctors say it. It's the same thing.
No, it's really not. You need to do good doctors.
Okay.
Now, here's a fun little graph.
Hmm.
Well, if I can get there, it is. Damn it. How's that?
I know somebody.
This is showing data from the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, as to why Americans feel so bad about the economy. Why are they sour on the economy?
because they're
This
starving
graph,
to death.
no, what you want to look at is, if Ellen will hush for a second, it's the little red information down here, which
Yeah.
is below zero. That is the real median earnings, okay, for each of those different quarters. The green is your median earnings. The blue is the inflation.
Oh,
So the red is the difference between the green and the blue.
Gotcha.
Okay. What this red is showing you is that each quarter since 2020, your money has purchased less and less every quarter through the end of 23.
Yeah, but I I think that's that should be a little bit lower. The red should be bigger.
What?
2023 quarter four, people are not making any money.
Well, this is the data from the BLS based on what they show as people's earnings for that quarter versus what they show as the cost of inflation, the change in inflation. So, particularly for those Americans in the lower half of income earners, the lower three quarters, the poor, the middle class, they have been getting hammered, absolutely hammered. So the idea is that, I don't know, a month or two ago, I mentioned the fact that all-time record was set with the number of Americans holding 2 full-time jobs. And that's what people are being reduced to. They're having to take a second job, second part-time job, or even a second full-time job in order to try to make ends meet. It's tough. It is incredibly tough, and it doesn't seem like it's getting a whole hell of a lot easier. Now,
This is going to be good, y'all.
saw this in Bloomberg.
Mm-hmm.
More than a third of parents who pay for childcare are using their savings. Think about it. You've got a kid in childcare. You can't afford that childcare, that basic childcare, off of what you're earning. So you're having to deplete your savings to cover the childcare to keep your job.
Been there.
68% of respondents said their savings would be depleted in 6 months. 6 months. And all of a sudden, you've got a third of single parents or parents with children in daycare who won't be able to keep them in daycare.
That's not single, that's just all parents.
Yeah, all parents who won't be able to keep their kids in daycare. What do you think that's going to do to the economy,
Tank it.
to people's living, being able to pay bills? Are there other bills that they don't pay in order to keep their jobs and keep the child in daycare? What do? Don't know. But when I warn about things on the horizon, this is something that everybody ought to be keeping an eye on. That's pretty damn huge.
And I'm going to make it in a comment that y'all are going to really be pissed off at. But I sent Clay I think I sent you a Twitter message the other day going like, what feminism has destroyed our country, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Clay was like, I'm not touching that. I was like, no, but I had a husband, the father of my children, who was very successful, a doctor. And did you just cut us off?
Hmm.
We're not there anymore.
You're on.
Okay. Um, yeah, I know, right? No, you took us off. And anyway, and I should have been able to stay home and raise those babies. Stop it. But instead, I had to go back to school because I had been a stay-at-home mom for 2 years, had 2 children, 3 and 1, and went back to school, had to put them in childcare, didn't see my son's first steps, all the things. And I'm like, this is not cool with me. Like, I would have rather have stayed home, taken care of my babies, raised them, done the things. And there are so many women who decide they can have babies later in life. Time you hit 35, your chance of conceiving just tanks. It's ridiculous. And I'm like, you know what? I would just rather go back to the old days where I could have raised my kids, done the things, made a home.
I hear a lot of people talk about like in the 50s, you had mom and dad. Mom stayed at home. They had a house. They had a car.
They had a family.
They had, 1 or 2 kids. And I hear a lot of people going, we can't do that. We
Not
can't
anymore.
have that same thing.
Mm-mm.
I'm saying you can.
Yeah.
You can have that. One, the houses back then were about, on average, 900 to 1,000 square feet. The kids shared a bathroom,
My kids shared a bedroom.
shared a bedroom. There was one, maybe 1.5 baths. So everybody used the same shower. They had one car. And that car didn't have a lot of the luxury items. Probably didn't have air conditioning, probably didn't have power windows.
It took Daddy to work.
Yeah. And then, the kids would walk to school. The
Or the
mom
bus.
would get the car on weekends to go to the grocery store or do whatever. But a large part of our inability to maintain a one income household is because our living standards are much higher. We have far more clothes. If you look at the closets of the houses built in the 50s, they were like filing cabinet size.
I sent you a picture of my grandfather's closet.
Yeah.
You show that. He's had the same clothes for.
Yeah. And, people just did not, they weren't as fashionable. They didn't
Not
have
true.
all the phones. They didn't have all the little luxury items. Didn't have microwaves. TVs weren't, maybe one little old TV in the house. People were still largely listening to radios. So they had a much simpler life. So my argument is if somebody is making 65, average American income, median income, $65,000, $70,000 a year, if they bought a 900 square foot house, had only one basic car, no other debt, they could still live with one parent working.
The problem is they go to college and they have hundreds of $1,000s debt.
Well, I'm just saying there are numerous problems.
Yeah.
But it's still possible today. But people have a much more expansive lifestyle than what we used to.
Yeah.
Eat out a lot more. Eat more than what we used to. We're all much heavier in general than they used to be back then.
Yeah, I went to my grandfather's again on Monday morning, came back Tuesday, got some stuff with his health worked out. He's not sick. I just wanted to get my doctor to look at his charts. And on the way there, I grabbed him a pullover, just a pullover jacket. And he was so happy. I sent Clay a picture of his closet. There are like 20 items in there, and that's all he has to wear. But he was born in 1927.
He's a simple guy. He lives simply, but he's happy.
He's so happy.
Simple can be far better. Cheerful. Are you saying we are spoiled? No. Don't forget, only 3 major networks versus 57 channels and rerunning TV series. Yeah, and don't forget that those 3 major network channels were free. You didn't have to pay $100 a month for internet, $70 a month for TV, etc. Whatever.
Yeah, I actually got my grandfather a 55-inch television when I was there and got it all set up so he can watch Netflix.
Yeah.
He's going through all the direct TV channels and he's like, there's nothing I really want to watch, but he likes watching TV. 96 years old, why not? And so I showed him the Equalizer 3, which he loved. And he's like, I can see this television. Like, I was like, Papa, need a break. We've been running, everywhere this morning, and just let me sit outside for a while because menopause and let me cool down. I heard him moving furniture and I was like, oh shit. So I go in there. He had brought the TV in all by himself. I was like, Pop, what is wrong with you? He was like, I got it. He was so excited. He wanted that TV. He said, we'll move furniture. We'll do whatever we got to do to get the right thing to set up. But it was the most exciting thing to him. The TV cost almost nothing, but he was just like, I get to watch new stuff.
Yeah. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Simple is better. We've forgotten the joy of simplicity. A simpler, less complicated life. Now, cheerful getting on me. Eat out a lot more, equal more restaurants, equal more jobs. Did you freeze?
Did we freeze? Are you back? The screen.
No, we're okay. Hey.
Well, we're seeing it from StreamYard, but not from them.
All right, let's see. Are we there? Can y'all see that? As far as I know,
I did not
see you freeze it all.
Thank you.
No freeze.
Okay, good.
Thank you. So
we never know which side it's on,
Yeah.
if it's y'all or us.
true. Eating out more is more restaurants and more jobs, more part-time jobs. Which, is not necessarily a bad thing. But if people want that old previous lifestyle, if they say we can't afford it, I'm like, what you can't afford is a 3,000 square foot house with everybody having their separate wing. You can't have closets that are bigger than old bedrooms. You can't have a commercial kitchen.
True.
You can't have, a sports car and a big SUV. Yeah, you can't have that particular lifestyle on one income for most people. And that's one reason why I think you see a movement kind of towards the homesteading. I'm hearing more and more people say, they want to kind of go back to their roots, grow some of their own food. They want a simpler life. And I'm one of those. Now, I've been aiming at this for quite a while as I, am in my, how do you say this, twilight years?
You're not in twilight. You're in your go-go years.
Well, whatever. But, since I've started, since my baby moved out of the house and it was just me and all, I've been thinking, how do I want to spend my remaining years? I love my job. But, I realize there will come a time when I walk away from it. What do I want to go to? I don't want to play golf all the time. don't really want to fish all the time. I enjoy working with my hands and, enjoy some traveling. So probably head in that direction.
And my grandfather grew up from that too. Oh,
Oh, he is from more independent times. And that's probably
is.
what we need to be thinking about is kind of get back to that old self-sufficiency thing.
he would talk about they had a sugar barrel in their pantry, and he would when the chicken would come in, he said we had to make sure the chicken was turned around so she didn't lay her eggs in the sugar barrel. He said we had a phone, our line was 27L, but we shared it with everybody in the building, and he said every time you picked up the phone somebody was talking. He's like, that's just how it was.
And more people live in their vans. I'm seeing that in two forms. One, I'm seeing poor people being forced to live in a van because they lost their house. And I'm also seeing, people buy these luxury camping touring vans.
I tried to get you to buy a camper for a while.
Yeah. And, just tool around in that.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of an interesting, again, divergence in society. Cheerful sports car plus SUV plus commute car. The little EV in order to be fashionable. So yeah, EVs have kind of taken it on the chin the past week with this Arctic cold. A lot of people having trouble recharging them out in the cold or not starting, or the batteries dying a whole lot quicker, or not able to provide heat. So for those people in more coastal areas, they're great. Or people that can keep them inside during the night in a heated garage.
Even my grandfather said the grid can't support it.
Yeah. So there's, we're advancing with all this technology and additional cost, but are we living better? And that's really my question. That's for myself. The more money I spend, the more money I need to make. The fancier I live, the more money I need to make. And it just kind of gets a catch-22 to where I'm like, I've kind of reached the point where I'd like to shuck a lot of this off and just live simpler and cleaner, more basic. I admit, I'll give up a lot of the variety, which I have enjoyed. But the times they are changing, and I need to change with them. And so I kind of look forward to downsizing. And I am not alone in that.
No, I think
So.
a lot of the population is going there.
Yeah.
And for their safety too. And they're worried about the grid, they're worried about WW3, they're worried about the US as a whole and the people that we've let into the country. And are they gonna plot some terrorist thing? I think you have soon you'll know who I am. Your next link.
Yeah, which brings up this guy. I think last week I talked about this guy crossing the border who was interviewed. I should have tried to find the previous video. This clip actually has a part of it, but this immigrant was crossing the border, Middle Eastern guy,
Brazen.
who the reporter was asking him, who are you? Why did you decide to come to America? And the guy's looking at him,
not just
yeah.
him.
The guy's, looks at him and says, "You don't know who I am, but you will. Just wait. You will." Kind of an interesting comment from a guy sneaking across the border. So
he wasn't sneaking.
he was like, "Who are you?" The guy was like, "You don't know, but you will know." Well, leave it to the internet.
You probably got to restart it.
So this is the post. The alleged terrorist warning Americans, soon you'll know who I am, appears to be Mohsen Samadov, a Muslim who was released in January 2023 after serving 12 years for being a terrorist. He was serving in U.S. prison, convicted in 2010, 2011. So here's the video.
Can y'all hear it?
Do y'all hear that? Let me try to restart it just to be safe. I can't tell whether y'all can hear it or not. Yep, there it is, the no. Well, y'all are figuring out the swoosh on StreamYard. Y'all can figure this out too. All right, let's try this again.
You will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am. You will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am. You will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am.
Whoops.
You will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am. You will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am. But soon you're gonna know who I am. You will know who I am. But you are really not smart enough to know who I am.
All right, I don't know if you can read this part, but he says nature of charges, arms trafficking, illicit use of weapons, criminal premeditation, and conspiracy, terrorist, treason, and sedition. That's what he was charged with. That's what he served 12 years in jail for in a U.S. prison. He was just released last year. And now he is sneaking across the border telling people, you don't know who I am, but you will. I just find that interesting as hell, personally. So now you know, or at least you have some idea. So if you get this guy popping up as a neighbor, move, leave town. So Chuck's whining. He is telling me we have gone a little long tonight. So I think with that, or actually, I'll throw this up. This is a board in the house. I actually painted a part of a wall to make it kind of like a whiteboard or chalkboard. And this is kind of Ellen's little memorial to Secret. And she was thinking of her today, so just thought we would throw this up, kind of in memory of an early supporter of the channel and a dear friend, and someone who passed altogether too young, too quick. So we on occasion get to missing her. I guess this was one of those days. So to Secret McSquirrel, if y'all did not have the pleasure of knowing her, she was a doll, truly a generous, warm person. Cheerful, criticizing religious freedom conditions. Yes, I am not sure exactly what that part is. That was not an actual charge, but he was arrested on the weapons and the terrorism charge. So I don't know exactly where that came from. So I can't comment much on that, but that was an interesting comment. And Melissa, member for 3 months. Celebrate. Appreciate it very much. So that's all for tonight. Appreciate y'all joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you Saturday. Don't forget to vote on the book club. And if you will, give us a like, follow, subscribe, whatever. Do the YouTube-y things. We appreciate being with y'all tonight. And our time is up. We thank you for yours. Good night, y'all.